Right now on Wave 3 News Midday, the search is on for the shooter who wounded several people at a Louisville nightclub, including a pregnant woman and her baby. And later today, the trial begins for a woman accused of dumping her baby in the bathroom at a Kohl's store where she worked. Plus, a teenager has now died after she was pulled from her backyard pool nearly a week ago.
Expect more right now. You're watching Wave 3 News.
Good morning and welcome to Wave 3 News Midday. I'm Chris McGill. We'll have all of your day's top stories straight ahead. But first, we need to bring you up to date on what to expect weather-wise for the rest of this Monday. Let's check in now with meteorologist Brian Good. And I have a feeling there's going to be some heat and a lot of moisture out there.
You got it, Chris. Another day, another very humid day, but not as much sunshine as we've seen the past couple of days because we're getting more activity developing on the radar the next 24 hours. But at least some hints of sun creating that hazy sky. Here's a look at our Kentucky One SkyTrack network of cameras around the area. You see in Shepherdsville, we've had some cloud cover streaming overhead, kind of a gloomy spot or two once in a while. But you see these little bright patches. That's where the sun is trying its best to try to shine through here. Even across E-Town, we've got a kind of a mostly cloudy sky. I do think some of this will start to thin out as we enter this afternoon, allowing for at least some hazy sunshine to move into most of wave country for the afternoon period. Here's a look from space. From our visible satellite, you can see the thin clouds right overhead, a little bit thicker cloud cover to our south and east. I think it'll start to thin out more and more as we enter this afternoon, especially for southern areas of Indiana. You guys have the best chance to get into the lower 90s in some cases later on this afternoon. Now, the radar was a little busy this morning, had a little downpour that tried to make a run at us from the west on I-64. It fell apart as it approached Louisville. Otherwise, nothing taking place right now across our 29 counties. Now, the setup for this afternoon is going to feature two chances for thunderstorms. One chance will be across central Kentucky. Some of those could be locally strong if they can get going. Again, very isolated activity, but this is what we got to watch as we into this afternoon that'll move in toward the evening time frame. It's a little wave of low pressure moving from St. Louis into Kentucky, and it's right ahead of that where the Storm Prediction Center has already put out a slight risk for some severe weather that could break out. Damage to wind's the main issue with these as they track into Illinois and then West Kentucky. They should begin to fade as we head toward late evening and midnight as we get closer to Kentuckiana, but keep in mind that something we'll keep an eye on as it gets a little closer to us. In the meantime, 81 degrees right now here in town, 82 in Salem, 81 in Seymour. You can see the numbers a little bit higher to the north where the sun has had a better chance to come out. So here's your forecast as we head to this afternoon. Right around 90 degrees here, it looks like in the Louisville Metro. The heat index, not as bad as it has been the past couple of days, but bad enough. It'll feel very close to the upper 90s at times this afternoon. And then as we enter this evening, temperatures will stay into the upper 70s and lower 80s with, again, thunderstorm chances on the increase as we head into tonight. We've got a very interesting forecast, some good and some bad when it comes to the next 7 days. Details in a few minutes, Chris.
Thank you, Brian. An accident involving a TARC bus left at least one person injured earlier this morning. It happened around 7:30 on the Brook Street ramp from 65 north. MetroSafe tells us at least one person was hurt, but it's unknown if that person was on the bus or in the other car that was involved. Happening today, jury selection will begin in the murder trial for the mother accused of dumping her child in a bathroom. 11:06 on your Monday right now, and a very gloomy day outside in Kentuckiana. More storms could be headed our way. Brian will break down your forecast coming up. And another day, another controversy surrounding Donald Trump. This time, it's fellow Republican John McCain who's on the defensive. And cheaters exposed. A dating site that helps married people cheat has now been hit by hackers. This morning, we're hearing the first reaction from former POW John McCain to Donald Trump, who claimed that McCain is not a war hero. Trump is also speaking out this morning, defending what he had said. NBC's Tracy Potts is in Washington now with reaction. Travel restrictions to Cuba are now easing. The U.S. trade embargo remains in place.
And here we are now live with our latest look at some of our cameras we've had around the area today. Temperatures have been on the warm side around the area today, mainly into the 70s and 80s around the area. And right now, right around 81 degrees here at Louisville International Airport. Feels like 85 here in town. Humidity is up there, but still kind of that gloomy sky overhead in town. By the way, for those of you that have the wider screen TVs, HD, notice that our 7-day forecast always on right now on our weathercast here on Wave 3 News. You can always capture the very latest over the next 7 7 days the whole time I am talking, but try to pay attention to what I'm saying too as well, because we do have some storms to talk about in the short term, especially for this afternoon. Temperature-wise, 81 degrees here in town, 78 at Fort Knox, 81 as we head down into the E-Town area. Very soupy atmosphere. It's kind of that hazy, sticky atmosphere we have. So the heat index is a factor, but nothing drastic. It feels a few degrees warmer than what it is at the moment. It feels like 85 here in town, about 80 at Fort Knox, and 82 to the east there into Shelbyville. The heat index is not going to be as big a factor, by the way, for this afternoon as what it was over the weekend, mainly because we're getting more cloud cover and we're getting more showers and storms introduced into the forecast. Here's a look at our visible satellite from space. You see that milky atmosphere we have, these cloud cover, low clouds and a few high clouds streaming overhead. I think we'll see some of that thin out across Indiana, so you guys will likely warm up the fastest, it looks like, to our north. And we're starting to see some thinning taking place from Litchfield, E-Town to Campbellsville, so you as well will see temperatures rise quickly in the coming hours. It's those areas, those hot spots where the sun's going to come out. Got to watch for some thunderstorms to begin to pop on the radar. Very scattered fashion, but keep in mind that any one of these little small thunderstorms, just like we saw yesterday, can produce some damaging winds in very localized areas. Not everybody is going to see a lot of that thunderstorm action for this afternoon. Now, maybe a different story later on tonight. We've got this area of showers and thunderstorms moving towards St. Louis. This activity is going to continue to maintain itself. It'll move into that more humid and atmosphere that's getting some heating this afternoon, so we'll likely see some activity begin to blossom and get a little stronger, especially across portions of Illinois and West Kentucky. This yellow zone, that is the slight risk for severe storms this afternoon. That is the area we've got to watch for maybe some damaging winds, a little more widespread fashion here around Paducah and around Evansville later on. The question is, how much of that activity is going to maintain itself as it heads east into most of wave country? And right now we're thinking at least areas west of 65 have a higher chance to get maybe a gusty storm. Areas east of 65 will likely get more of the leftovers in a weaker fashion here. Here's our storm threat for this afternoon. Mainly a marginal risk for a good chunk of wave country. We'll keep an eye on the southwest section here of our area to see if some of those storms from West Kentucky move in later this evening, with mainly a damage and wind threat more than anything, and flash flooding. Got to stress, it's going to be one of our bigger issues. We do have a flash flood watch in effect for our areas along and east of I-65. So for this afternoon, tornado threats low, strong wind potential a little elevated, but the flash flooding still one of our higher threats we have. We're getting at a 5 right now out of a 10. Here's Futurecast this afternoon. It shows the pop-up of showers and thunderstorms on the radar. And then tonight, the activity moves in from the western areas of Kentucky and Indiana. And again, some enhancement is possible with some damaging winds, flash flooding, even for the overnight period. It looks to be mainly south of 64, though. And then Tuesday, another chance for a few thunderstorms. But the good news is this is the second front moving then on Tuesday. What's behind this one I think you're really going to love. Here's your forecast this afternoon. Hazy skies, spotty thunderstorms around 90 degrees for the forecast. For tonight, right around 73 here in the city. The suburbs will likely ease off into the mid-60s. Flash flood watch will remain in effect. A few of those thunderstorms increasing, especially on the Kentucky side of the Ohio. And here we go on your 7-day breakdown. Notice how temperatures stay mainly into the 80s. May see some 90s as we head into the upcoming weekend. But for Wednesday, we have a chance to see at least the humidity really take a plunge as we head into the afternoon hours. For Tuesday night into Wednesday, we'll get some relief, but as you see there, it's temporary because we're back into the 90s again for the weekend. So not a widespread threat this afternoon. Just got to watch for those downpours. And, and it only takes 20 minutes of rain. You can have a flash flooding scenario.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much, Brian. And the parent company of Ashley Madison, a matchmaking website for cheating spouses, says it was hacked and that the personal information of some of its users was posted online. Toronto-based Avid Life Media Incorporated says it has had those hackers' posts, which included personal information, all taken down, and they've